We're continuing on Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim, Siman Memvav, Yilchot Birkot HaShachar, and we're up to Sif Het, Bezrat Hashem, on page Daf Ayin Hey Amud Aleph of regular prints of Mishnah Brura. And Maran writes, Kol HaBrachot HaElu, Im lo nitchayev ba'achad mehem, what if you have not become obligated to say the bracha, the specific bracha, one of the 17 brachot that we say in the morning? Imagine if one of them you have not become obligated to say that one day, or in general. For instance, says Maran, you didn't hear a rooster calling in the morning, or you're, the guy is bed rest, he's not walking, he's not moving, or you're not getting dressed that day. Again, bed rest, and he's not getting dressed, or he's not putting his belt to say by the chagura, and the Shulchan says omerota. Still, you say the bracha below haskarat Hashem. You say it, but you don't say it with Shem u'Malchut, with saying Baruch Atah Hashem. Instead of saying Ozer Yisrael b'Gvura, you just say, instead of saying Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam Ozer Yisrael b'Gvura, you say Baruch Ozer b'Gvura, Ozer Yisrael b'Gvura. Or if he's not going to walk, instead of saying Zokef Kfufim with Shem u'Malchut, you say Baruch Atah Hashem. Instead of saying Baruch Atah Hashem, you say Baruch Zokef Kfufim, Baruch Matir Asurim, instead of saying it with Shem u'Malchut. This is what Maran writes. Now, this is not so simple, and Ramah right away jumps in as well. That there are those poskim who hold that even if you, in person, you individual, have not become obligated to say them, but you still say them because it's not for your selfish needs necessarily, but rather it is for the whole world. The whole world has benefits from the roosters calling, and they wake them up, and from wearing belts, and from walking around and having shoes, and all of those things that have been instituted as the part of Birkot HaShachar are not instituted for your personal needs of today, but rather they are instituted for the world benefiting from those items. So therefore, says the Ramah, even if you were not obligated yourself, you still say them. The bracha is not just on you, but rather it is we are saying the bracha that Hashem has created the needs of the world, that people open their eyes and they see, that people could stand, they have a ground to stand on, that people have shoes to wear, and so on and so forth. And therefore you could say the bracha v'chen ha-minhag. Says the Ramah, that's the minhag. Ve'en l'shanot, you cannot change it. Now this, already the Pri Chadash writes that even a sumah and a cheresh, that even a person that's blind, Rahman al-Islam, or a person that cannot hear, they would still say the brachot. Says the Pri Chadash, Chizkiah di Silva, one of the Geonei HaMizrach, who was born in Italy, again, at age 20, he comes to Eretz Yisrael to learn by Maran Galanti, Moshe Galanti, the Talmid of Maran Shulchan Aruch, and he was tremendous. He's one of the Yechidim in his generation that he had the comfort level and the confidence to disagree with the Rishonim even. Now, he also disagreed with Maran Shulchan Aruch frequently, and he got into trouble because of it. He went on the way back, he went fundraising for the Yeshiva Maran Galanti, and on the way back from Spain, he went, his travels took him through Egypt, and in Egypt, they put his Sfarim in Cherem. People liked learning his Sfarim, but they saw that he disagrees with Maran. They said, what? How dare you disagree with Maran? Kibanno Horaot Maran. They first wanted to put him in Cherem. I said, no, it's Talmid Chacham. They put his Sfarim in Cherem. Asur to learn Pri Chadash. Cherem banned his Sfarim completely. Who writes about this? The Rav HaRashi of Egypt, few generations later, was the Ginat Veradim, the Abraham Molko. He writes in Siman Gimel of his Shuvah Din Rachaim, he says him and his Betin were the ones who opened the ban, that they nullified the Harem, and he says that people want to learn it a lot. Brit Chadash is so tremendous, and so on. Maran Chida writes something unbelievable, Rabotai. Listen to this. Maran Chida writes, Bo'ur'eh, come and see the niflaot of Tamim De'im, the wonders of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So what happened? They put the Brit Chadash, a Gaon Brit Chadash in Sfarim in Harem in Egypt. What happened? Hashem had other plans. It turned out that 2 generations later, like a short 50, 60 years later, all of the Hachamim in Egypt were the Talmidim of Brit Chadash. So all the psakim that they passed in Egypt was based on Brit Chadash. Similar to this, writes Maran Ben Ish Chai, he writes in the Pticha of Rav Pe'alim, he writes, look at what Ra'abad did with Rambam. He's talking there about being respectful to other people. When you write in Divrei Torah, he says, look at what Ra'abad did to Rambam. He trashed and shredded everything Rambam said, disrespectful language sometimes. And he says, look at what has happened now. A few hundred years later, there's more Perushim, he doesn't say it like that, but there's more Perushim on the Rambam than there is on Shas. It's unbelievable. Kavod of the Rambam, writes the Ben Ish Chai, is 100 times more than Ra'abad. And if it wasn't because Ra'abad wrote Hasagot and Rambam, no one would even remember the Ra'abad to some degree. The only reason that you learn Ra'abad is because it's a Perush that's printed under Rambam, because you want to learn Rambam. And that's the long term. Many times a person does a heshbon of small heshbon of, you see just 4 amot in front of you, but there is a greater heshbon that HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs. So anyhow, the Chadash over here writes that even a suma, even a blind man, Rahman al-Stan, or a heresh still would say the bracha Pokei Hivrim. Now that's not so pashut. And the Mekubalim, even though the Mekubalim also say that, the Mekubalim say you say the brachot regardless of your capabilities and your benefit. But the Magen Avraham here disagrees. Magen Avraham says a suma, a blind man, Rahman al-Stan, should not say Pokei Hivrim, but he agrees that the cheresh would say the bracha of Hanoten L'Sachli Bina of the Tarnegol. So it says the Mishnah Berurah over here. I am בספר אליהו רבה, he quotes the אליהו רבה, שכתב בברכת אלוקי נשמה וברכת המעביר שינה, אין לברך אם היה נאור כל הלילה. 2 brachot you do not say. This is actually upcoming. We're in Nogea for Shal Rabbah night that you stay up the whole night. In the morning, says the Eliyahu Rabbah, you should not say the bracha of the morning, the bracha of Hama'avir Shena, that when you go to sleep and you wake up from your sleep, you say Hama'avir Shena me'enai, that you cannot say if you didn't go to sleep. Same is with Elokai Neshama. Shenatata, you return my Neshama. If I didn't go to sleep, I didn't give it to be returned. So those 2 brachot, says the Eliyahu Rabbah, you do not say if you did not go to sleep, but at the same time, the Ben Ish Chai, Kaf HaChaim, they both write, and this is again based on the words of Marchud, Ari HaKadosh, that the person that stays up the whole night, he must say the bracha of Hama'avir Chevnei Shena, he must say the bracha of Elokai Neshama as well. Again, the Mekubalim are very specific that these brachot are on Minhago Shel Olam, and they have deeper Kabbalistic things to them, and therefore you say the brachot nevertheless. So it says, the Ben Ish Chai, you only don't say Al Netilat Yadayim if you, of course, did not use the bathroom. You don't say Asher Yatzar either, but the Al Netilat Yadayim, you say without bracha. You do Netilat Yadayim, you don't say the bracha Al Netilat Yadayim. And Chacham Ovadia also in the Or Tzion, they agree with that assertion that you don't say the bracha of Al Netilat Yadayim and Asher Yatzar if you did not use the bathroom. At the end of the day, the Pri Megadim disagrees with the Eliyahu Rabbah, so Sha'arei Teshuvah says, if you want to come out Yotzei Yedei Chovah according to everyone, then you should find somebody else that's saying the brachot, and you listen to it, and you'll be Yotzei according to everyone that way, and you won't have any trouble. So again, if you find other people saying the bracha, this Hoshana Rabbah in the morning, and you want to be Yotzei according to everyone, even the Eliyah Rabbah, then you go find somebody that has gone to sleep and is coming back, or at least has dozed off enough on the table, which doesn't necessarily count well, but you find them to say Elokai Neshama and the bracha of Hamabir Chevdei Shena Me'enai with Mama Afafai, then you'll be Yotzei according to everyone. So, B'ezrat Hashem, we will continue this in the days to come. Zaku Baruch.
Oh, you say you don't say it for night? Stay up?
That's what the Ben Ish Chai says.
But didn't we say that like the forces of the night?